Listen up or run for cover. Dropping knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. The real Brad Lee is dropping
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, kids, I got a real treat for you. Now, if you guys haven't heard of this gentleman, then you probably haven't been in the car business, because if you're in the car business, you sell cars, run car dealerships, in the car business whatsoever, I'm sure you've heard of this gentleman, Mr. Tim Kintz. What's going on, Tim?
Just hanging out, man, looking to have some fun and drop some bombs.
Now, folks, Tim's the president and founder of the Kintz Group, which is ultimately specializing in training and developing salespeople, sales management in the automotive space. I'm trying to get you not out, but outside of, in addition to, the automotive space. Because, dude, believe it or not, there's a lot of applicable knowledge that salespeople in the car business do that work outside the car business. Because as you know, I used to be in the car business. And now I'm not necessarily just in the car business. And it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. Plus, I wanted to bring him on to talk to you about lead conversion, right? You've got a snappy little software, and you specialize in lead conversion.
Yep.
And folks, he's got a book, okay? Frictionless Closing and Negotiating with Purpose. Tim Kintz's new book. You got more than one book, don't you?
Nope, this was my first one. Got another one coming out in January.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you got another one coming out. But go get this Frictionless Closing and Negotiating with Purpose wherever books are sold. But this one, man, I'm going to start off with a little car business talk. Why? Well, because your specialty is the car business. Dude, what's going on with the car business? I don't understand. This COVID shit hits, and I got buddies saying they're selling more than they've ever sold.
Man, it's 6 inches between your ears, right? And in defense, some states were shut down, man. Some of these guys couldn't sell cars, right? There was nothing they could do. But the states that were open and they could sell and they had good leadership, they were kicking ass. There's deals out there. They just had to learn how to communicate digitally and how to sell a little different. And we had to learn to break the damn rules, right? We were nope, we don't do home delivery. Nope, we won't pick their car up and do service and deliver it back to them. Well, those rules are done. The old, that's not my job, that went away. And there was a hell of a lot of managers real quick that learned, whoa, I didn't really know how to do this stuff. I was just directing my salespeople, my BDC department to do it. Now I got to learn it because we furloughed half of our people. And I think the ones that had the right mindset, it's going to make them better in the long run.
Doesn't it? Always does.
Yeah. It doesn't kill you. It'll make you better.
So have you ever heard dropping bombs?
I have. Many times.
Yeah, dropping bombs. We're just going to shoot the shit and talk about challenges and situations. So when it comes to selling, especially in the car business, what's changed in the last, let's say, 20 years?
What hasn't, right? I think communication with customers. I think the customers, number one, to simplify it is the knowledge they have, right? When we started selling cars, they didn't know what they didn't know. They didn't know invoice. They didn't know interest rates. They didn't have payment calculators on every website. And I don't know, was that good or bad that they didn't? I don't know.
Good.
Sometimes it was. And then you had that guy that thought you had 50% markup in a car. And you didn't. And they were completely unrealistic, and there was nothing that you couldn't show them facts because they wouldn't even believe you if you showed them invoice.
Yeah.
We all had that guy. Now, at least, we're working from facts. There's real numbers. Customers are more educated. And bottom line, when we see them, they're closer to buying than they ever have been. Right? They couldn't do research when we started. They might start going dealership to dealership 6 months early in the old days. Now, they go online for 6 months. And then once they breathe on us, they're ready to make a decision. So you're either talking them in or talking them out of buying.
That's a good point. So if that's true, are the grosses smaller?
Depends. Depends on the salesperson.
Well, if I know everything as a customer, how are you going to make me pay 10 times more than I should?
10 times? No. But can I still make money? Hell yeah, I can still make money.
How?
We can't have a race to the bottom. It's all about value and relationships with the customers.
Yeah, but if I've already done my research, if what you first said is true, you got all these educated buyers. I already know you paid X for that car, and I'm willing to give you 500 over. Yes or no, or I'm heading to the dealership down the road.
I'll never walk the customer because I'm not holding the gross. But if you're having a challenge in the last 15 minutes of the deal, the negotiation, stop looking at the last 15 minutes. Your real problem is your first 15 minutes when the customer showed up. Right? When customers show up, their guard's up. And our sales process historically, and quite frankly in so many stores, is not designed to lower that customer's guard. Right? That customer comes in, they have their information, they're nervous about spending the money even though they're there to spend the money. Ultimately, with the majority of them, it comes down to, can they afford the monthly payments on it? And we dive right into throwing your guard up. Well, how much are you looking to spend the month so I can show you the right car? How much down do you have? What's your credit like? We make them prove to us that they're real before we go through the trouble. Instead of going through the trouble to make them real. They're real. They're there. They drove 30 minutes with their family. How do we slow it down? How do we have a pattern interrupt? It's about interrupting that pattern. How do I lower the guard? You know what John Maxwell famously say? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And
I gave him that.
Yeah, of course.
The whole sun coming up in the morning, bro.
Yes.
That's my idea.
And you can get everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want out of life.
The best way to get what you want is to help others get what they want.
That's exactly right. Sounds better.
That's what he said.
It's that radio voice.
But that's what he said.
Who?
And how he
Zig?
said it. Yeah. Dude, that's who said that.
My wife worked for him.
But he
for
said,
years.
oh, she did?
Yeah.
But he said, the best way to get what you want is to help others get what they want.
Right. And then you got to throw a little story in about the redhead.
Dude, I was lucky to hang out with old Zig. He's one of the trainers that I've dealt with that, like, man, he's exactly what he preaches.
Oh, yeah.
He walks the same thing he talks. A lot of times people don't walk the walk they talk.
More than you can even imagine, he walked the walk.
Oh, yeah.
There
Zig.
were certain trainers, he wouldn't speak at conferences if they were speaking there.
Why?
Because of his belief of them.
Wow. What, do you know who they were?
Yeah, I do.
Who?
I'm not saying, but his morals.
What about Les Brown? Like Les Brown?
Do I? Yeah.
Yeah, like Les Brown. He's a motivational son of a gun, isn't he?
He
won't teach you shit about sales, but he'll motivate the hell out of you.
See, aren't there so many different styles though? And no matter who you are, you got to find out what style works best for you. Like with Zig was a storyteller that had the message embedded in the story, and you kind of had to figure it out. John Maxwell, he's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And he uses a story embedded in step 1, 2, and 3, 4.
What would you consider me?
A combo. You tell stories, but it's about steps. You want to write out a script. You want to make sure you hit every step the right way, right?
Well, that's just
I'm that way too.
I don't like it. I just do it only because when I say I'm going to train you on something, I like to make sure it's all there. And when I ad lib and talk, like I do Closer School Lives, if I ad lib and talk, it's not really, to me, the same thing.
I think it depends. If you're just looking to light someone's hair on fire them up, just roll with it, man. Just go. Tell that story. Make them just want to run out and do something better for themselves. But if you're going to teach them something that needs to be repeated, like selling step 1, step 2, step 3, you got to have a repeatable process.
What's your step 1?
Step 1 with what?
Sales process.
Customer comes in, we do a pre-demo trade walk. Right? In the past, I trained it for 13 years. I was trained on it for 11 years prior to that when I was in the dealership. We saved the trade for the very end, right? At the end of the demo, we always said it's the highest emotional point of the sale. Get a commitment. Yeah, and then go walk around their trade, touch all the dents, dings, kick their teeth in, lower all that emotions.
Did you ever teach people to like get a weird look on your face, like
Yeah,
you smelled the fart?
That was the workbook I had to teach. That was the process.
Every time I'd get into a used car to do trade walk, I'd be like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Even if it didn't smell.
Touch the dent.
They'll be like, "What do you mean?" I'd be like, "Did you eat in here?"
But think about that. So highest emotional point of sale, end of the demo. I got you excited about the car. Here, let me go blow all of that positive emotions I just built just before we sit down to do the most stressful part of the car deal, the negotiation. It doesn't even make sense going there. And today, we need to be doing a trade. We got to speed the velocity of the car deal up. This 3-4 hour car deals is bullcrap. That's got to change. And we stack the deal. That pre-demo trade walk is where you find out about the customer. I'm interrupting that pattern. It's not what they're getting anywhere else. I'm walking around that car, finding out what's important to that customer, right? What do they want on their next car? It's not either or questioning to death. It's a conversation. They already know.
What about CarMax? They'll just go to CarMax.
It's the same thing.
How come everybody that wants to sell their car, they'll say, I'll just sell it to CarMax? CarMax has done a good job with branding when it comes to buying used cars, though, didn't they?
Absolutely. But when I'm walking their car, if I do it right, that customer becomes the salesperson.
Sure.
They're selling me their car. It's turning the tables, learning to shut up and listen. And that 15 minutes walking their car, scanning their trade into the CRM. So it pushes it into vAuto. Yeah. So now all that's in there. Now the clock starts ticking. Now they're in our CRM. I scan their driver's license. Managers now can do the appraisal while we're on the trade.
All those scans just suck it right into CRMs nowadays?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's beautiful.
Speeds the whole velocity of the deal up. And then it pushes it into vAuto, and that's where I'm doing my appraisals. So it's all there. There's no handwritten. I'm not bringing you in and setting you down and doing a guess sheet like we were taught. And
yeah, but are any dealerships doing that?
Mine do.
But obviously yours do. Do any dealerships still do it the old stupid way?
You'd be amazed, yes.
Because if I worked at, let's call it a Kintz dealership, and all I did was went bleep, bleep, and it was all written into my CRM and was all ready to roll, dude, that's freaking amazing.
You think about it, as you're walking around, we were taught you greet them and build rapport and investigate them. No, we're building rapport and investigating as we're walking around the car. That's one step. It's not multiple steps. I'm gathering information on the condition of the car. I'm not doing the putting a penny in the tread and all that bullcrap that we were taught. It's walk around it like you're going to buy it.
But there's dealerships still doing it.
Yes.
Okay,
At the end,
I want to know what changed.
And that trade is the biggest time monster, right? Doing the appraisal.
Well, you ain't got to sell me. I like what you're saying better, but that's a Tim Kintz belief and technique. I'm talking about the car business in general. What's changed?
Not the digital and digital communication and digital both sides, right? Digital from the customer coming into us and our digital going out. And technology. Are we integrating technology into our sale process? Right? I think I have Lead Converter, and Lead Converter, I'm not a software company. I don't sell you a CRM. I don't sell you software. I'm a people person. I'm the people part of making sure the software you're spending money on every month is actually working. That's the problem with so many of these apps, so many of these programs is they say, here, this will appraise your car. Here, this is the CRM. Here, this. Yeah, but who's actually helping us develop the process and the accountability and coaching us to help it fit our process, right? I'm not a believer that you need to change your process to fit mine. I believe I fit mine into your process. Because if I expect you to blow it all up, it looks like that big smoke bomb behind you. I'm not making you change everything for me. We're going to find out where's the biggest victories we can have with the least amount of pain, right? It's wins. How can we get wins early? And the earlier we can get wins, and salespeople and managers see positive and make more money, then the next thing we implement is easier. And then it's easier. I'm not taking a fire hose and telling you to take a sip of water out of it. And I think that's what happened so much. I think for so long, our business never changed. It was the same. It didn't matter where you were. Now, every market I go to, there's differences.
But if I'm thinking, first of all, I know there's car salesmen in the bomb squad. There's listeners that sell cars, run car dealerships. I got GMs, dealers, and salespeople following me and listening to the podcast. So I'm trying to think this, what you're saying again, and I agree with it, I like it, but if I'm a salesman out there, how would I double my income? What would I start doing? Whether it's a Kintz run dealership or not, because that just makes sense. But to me, that's a Kintz run dealership. If a dealership didn't think like you, they wouldn't be doing the trade. They're still doing the damn thing at the end, right?
Yeah, but they all have a CRM, and almost all CRMs do have an app. So
Yeah, but
they can scan stuff, right?
Okay, so if I'm a
part of
salesman, listen to the Bomb Squad.
That's part of speeding the velocity up. Use technology within your process, right? Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Use it to help you speed the volume or the velocity of the deal up. It's, like I said, last 15 minutes isn't your problem, or it's the first 15 minutes, and making it a smoother process for customers. And
Quicker.
and I think biggest thing, for God's sake, stop selling out of desperation and start frickin' selling out of inspiration.
Yeah.
I think we're so damn scared we're going to lose the deal. We're so afraid we're going to lose the deal that we don't make the deal. And if we do make the deal, we're just giving it away. Well, we can't hold gross. Gross profit or not, those aren't dirty words. And somewhere along the line, we keep having this race to the bottom and thinking that we're ripping them off if we're making some money on it.
Race to the bottom. Explain that.
Giving up all the gross. We'll spend $600 to get a buyer. That's the average, roughly, per buyer we spend in advertising in the car business. We'll spend $600 to pull you from 100 miles away so we could lose $1,000 on a car. But we don't spend a dime to retain our customers that we have right now. I mean, I'll ask dealers and managers in class. I'll say, how much you spend per buyer in advertising? They all know it, $600. They don't know exactly what it is. It's on the financial statement. I say, how much do you spend per customer you sell in retention dollars? Well, what do you mean? Nothing. That's the fundamental problem. We'll spend a ton of money to try to pull people in and get new customers. We don't do anything to retain the ones we got. And you want to make more money, we've got to have retention. Look, I was telling dealers prior to the pandemic, we need to start doing videos for people. There was resistance. I'm not doing a live video. That's too much work. Okay. I kept telling them, we need to do concierge service. And I had some of my stores would do it, where we pick your car up and we drop your car off, and it's all done through text. Hell, Jeff Bezos has trained us to click and buy. Why haven't we capitalized on that? And some of my stores did it. And their grosses, their dollars per RO skyrocketed when they did it. As hell, if somebody was going to come pick your Bentley up and send you a text saying, hey, this, and this need to be done. Do you want to do them? Click yes or no. And you could click yes or no on each item. Hell, you'd click yes on almost all of them if you didn't have to be there and they said they needed to be done. It's convenience. Time is the new commodity, right? So how are we going to maximize people's time and I'm not sitting for 2 hours at a dealership while you're doing my tire rotation.
Shouldn't have to.
No, but go to a service department. And look, it's insane. Look, think about service when we first got in the car
buying
business.
it takes too much time.
Yeah. But think when we got in service or got in the car business, service departments. How different are they today in most dealership service departments than they were then?
That I recognize, none.
I mean, they look better computers, paint the floors, we got stacks of tires and stuff, but nothing's really changed. And here's what's changed. We had about 95% of the business went to dealerships 30 years ago. And then what happened? Jiffy Lubes popped up all over. And all of a sudden, nobody took it serious that they were going to steal business. And now we're losing about over $300 billion a year in service repair revenue to third-party repair facilities. It's in the book. I don't remember the exact number. It's like $380 some odd billion was spent in service, in repairs and maintenance in 2018. I think it was $65 billion was spent in car dealerships. Do the math. That's what, over $300 billion that's been stolen from us, and we've never changed our process. Because we never changed it. We never simplified the process. We never thought about the customers because that's not the way it is. right now, the retail side, sales, we're at that same paradigm. We're at that same tipping point that we are going to evolve our process, or we're going to look back and say, look at Carvana's. Wait till new cars get into it. Carvana's the number 5 used car distributor.
Is that the machine? Mm-hmm. How does that work?
They were 0 like 5 years ago. They didn't exist. Now they're number 5.
Yeah, but how does it work? I see the buildings where it looks like a vending machine.
You go online and you buy it, and then they give you a little coin. You drop it in, I guess, and it comes down.
They ship you the coin?
Yeah, I guess. I haven't gone there to do the physical thing.
So what if you go up?
It's basically online buying, and they deliver the car to your house.
So what's the little vending machine? A gimmick?
Looks cool. You remember that?
Yeah, but I mean, I've actually seen the actual building. Why do people
They're
go
all
there?
over.
If I'm bringing it to your house, why would I need the building? Can you show up at a Carvana and shop?
Yes, but there's not huge inventories. Most of it's all designed online.
Yeah, it looks like a vending machine.
Yeah. Push the button, sandwich comes down. But they're viable competitors. And
who's the number one?
Are we going to do what's necessary?
CarMax?
I think CarMax is number 1, and there's a bunch of the big groups that all get lumped in there. The Penske.
So is used car business still good at a car dealership?
Yes.
Is that where all their gross is made?
Both. Right now, the challenge was we were shut down, and then we had a bunch of new car inventory. Used cars were piling up like cordwood. Lease returns were happening. Factories didn't know what to do with it. Then all of a sudden they opened up. Factories didn't open up, and in dealerships, man, I got a buddy.
They sold all the cordwood?
They sell over 100, yeah. They sell over 100 trucks a month, man. They were down to 6 GMCs sitting on their lot because there was no more. They weren't building anything. And then that just drove the cost of used cars up at the auctions. So it's been a double whammy. It's been a challenge, but man, most of these guys are holding gross because the inventory's not there. So you're going to pay for it. And a lot of customers haven't been grinding based on the guys I've been working with.
Dude, I know someone that just makes a living buying and selling cars from private individuals.
Yeah. Oh, you can if you know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. They just call private individuals, buy their car, take it to an auction. They don't even retail it. Take it to an auction and make money.
As long as you can get 2 people bidding, you can make a lot of money.
That's almost like a flipping thing. Mm-hmm. So what's in the book, Frictionless Closing and Negotiating with Purpose? Is it strictly cars, or can you apply that to anything?
You can apply it to anything. I mean, it's
you want frictionless closing.
Look, selling's people business. Doesn't matter what it is. My wife's in real estate, and I always talk. We always hear it, and I've said it forever, that you got to create mental ownership before customers take physical and financial ownership. What the hell does that mean, though? Right? When I'm doing my walk around, how do I create mental ownership? And really, I break it down because our sale process didn't allow me. We just greeted them and went out to the cars and just started bouncing around. Well, you can't create mental ownership when you just go from the greeting to the inventory because you don't know anything about their life, right? That customer walks on the lot, they have a blank canvas of their life. Your job is to ask questions, find out what's important to them, paint that picture, and then when you present and demonstrate your vehicle, your job is to paint that vehicle into their life. It's like I always say, a really good realtor, if you go look at a house with them, they'll walk you through that house, and they'll have the kids picking out the room, and they'll have you picking out your curtains and figuring out what furniture you need to get for that house. And when they're really good, you walk out of that house and you've already mentally moved your furniture into that house. And you haven't even put a bid in on it yet. That's what creating mental ownership is. How can I get you owning that vehicle before we sit down and start working that car deal? And I understand, look, selling a house and selling a car are different. There's a lot more competition. It's a whole different buying process. But if you're not if you're not walking around that customer's car, if you're not getting to know that customer early on, then you can't get them to want to buy your car more than you want to sell it. Really, that's what you want to get. Anything you're selling, you want them to buy it more than you want to sell it. Because whoever appears least wins.
Yeah.
Whoever's willing to walk away from a deal is going to get the best deal. Not that you don't want it, but it goes back to that desperation.
Works the same way in relationships. The person that cares the least is in control.
That's right. I'll walk away.
And
then they don't want you to.
yeah, like if you're dating a girl and the girl could care less if you ever called her again, dude, she's got you hooked, or vice versa.
Then you can't quit calling her.
It's the person that can walk away. Like
In anything.
you never been in a relationship where like they were really in love with you and like, you know, you knew you could get away with murder because they just loved you, but as soon as they started losing interest, you're like, hey, wait a minute, how come you don't love me no more? You know, because again, the control started to shift.
Absolutely. You want what you don't have and can't get.
Indeed.
But it's really more important now than ever is how do you create separation in a noisy market, right? How do you differentiate yourself? Everybody's got what you're selling. How do you create that separation? And it's harder now than it's ever been. It's not easy. But what are you doing different? Like I'm a huge advocate of becoming good at digital communication and videos, sending custom videos to customers and personalizing them. Hell, that's my next program that we're working on right now. It's Pro Video Now, where it's actual video I send you, and I know when you open it, and I get all the stats on you watching it, and we can communicate through it because I think customers want that. I think it's personal, it's real. They don't want these canned walk around videos from the factory. They want, what's YouTube? It's all crap. You'll sit and watch cats jumping through windows and dogs going down water slides for an hour, but you won't watch the production stuff the same. That's what everybody's spending all their time on. So how can we have that for customers? And I think it's got to be done. Is it more work? Yeah. But what's your other choice?
Fail.
Just being average, being the tallest midget?
So if you're listening, folks, and you run a car dealership, I'd say, shit, go to the KintzGroup.com, right? The Kintz Group?
KintzGroup.com.
Kintz Group, Kintz Group.
That's right. We just have to evolve, man. We evolve or we become extinct.
Well,
being Smithsonian.
does the car business still have, because I've heard, I haven't worked at a dealership in a long time. So I'm aware things change. So I know, though, if I walked into any dealership in the country, I could improve on their numbers. How do I know that? Because I will train people effectively, right? And I will leverage technology, and I will do the basic blocking and tackling. Now, if they're already doing all that, I would have a harder time increasing their numbers. Is there anything like that if I didn't do, I'd be screwed? Like, because I'm just assuming this. Why? I haven't done it in a while. I just remember the old car business, but it's changed a little bit. People are coming in. What if I showed up and I thought, man, I can increase anybody's business, and then I can't because I'm teaching some old school shit. I'm teaching them to do the walk around at the end.
Yeah, you know, when you, not just you, but when we say the word old school, somehow we say it like it's a bad thing. Look, there's good old school and there's bad old school.
Well, I was good old school, but my point is, if I go run a dealership today thinking like it was before and it's not, I would actually probably hurt that dealership.
Potentially. But you also would bring in salesmanship. You would bring in, we're going to be salespeople, and we're going to close these people that are coming in the dealership. And if that customer leaves, that means we failed. We don't have a 20% closing ratio. We have an 80% loss ratio, for crying out loud. Look, I understand it's like baseball, a game of failure, right? But it's not a game of failure. It's a game of adjustments. And we would keep making adjustments as we don't close deals. It's not the customer's an idiot. No. It's we didn't do a good enough job. What could we have done better? Because there's always something you could have done better. It's not that we didn't hold gross because the customer was grinding us. No, maybe we didn't build enough value. Maybe we didn't close on the car and we used money to try to close. Maybe we're using price to chum the waters to see if they're real. No, they're real. Stop using price to try to get a commitment. And you would learn as you went, and you would make adjustments, and you would understand that we all are in this thing together. I think it's almost like in a dealership, you've got like 6 different companies. You got your new car company, you got your used car company, you got your F&I company, you got your service department, and they're all battling against each other on who's going to make more money. Sales is pissed at service because they overcharge them on accessories. Used car department doesn't like them because they do too much recon. Why the hell does every one of our trade-ins have to have new brakes and new windshield wipers? And you don't sell anybody brakes and windshield wipers in service, right? And it's always that battle. F&I stealing our gross and flipping in the back and cutting the front end gross. We got to end all that battling. And what is that common goal, man? All of us. It's got to be that circle of life. Dealership 360 really is.
When are you going to open a dealership?
Man, the big boys got all the money for doing those.
They're expensive now, aren't they?
They're insane.
What if shit hit the fan and you had to go back to the car business?
Okay.
Would you be the GM? What would you be?
Sure.
Would you rather be the GM, a salesperson, a sales manager, a closer, a finance director, the service director?
Finance director, just selling air. Look, here's the difference. If you're a manager in the front end, you're not a sales manager, not a used car manager, not a F&I manager. Everybody's a sales manager. That's it. We're all there to manage sales. You may focus on handling the F&I side. You may focus on used car, but having the old thing of, oh, man, you don't understand. Our used car manager, he's not good with people. Well, then he better freaking get good with people, because every single coach on that team needs to be able to coach. You see it in sports. They'll take the offensive line coach. Next thing you know, he's the defensive back coach the next year. They don't say, oh, he's just good with the big fat guys. He's not even good with the D-backs. No, they don't do that. Everybody learns. Everybody evolves. If you're a sales manager, you're doing one-on-ones. If you're a sales manager, you're going to get up and do training. How can you desk deals if you're not training? And I think that's a challenge. Everybody has their own processes. Everybody does different things. They all think they do the same stuff. They don't. And desking deals is one of them.
So if I'm a car dealer or a group, can I hire you to come revamp and rework my processes?
As long as you're the pig and not the chicken at breakfast.
What does that mean?
You sit down and eat bacon and eggs, who's more committed, the chicken or the pig?
The pig.
Pig's all in, baby. As long as you're all in, because it's my name going on it. It's going to be my physical time away from my family in the store, and I love going in. And I got a big Chevy store we worked with. Those guys bought in, they did everything, and it was top down. And look, were they perfect? Hell no. But they went from losing money selling 300 cars a month to making insane amount of money. Their average manager, after my first year there, made $80,000 more than they ever had when they were at that dealership. All the salespeople except for 2 made more money than they did the previous year. Look, they're going to make more money. And when you help them make more money and have wins, then they're all bought in. So,
and they love you.
Yeah, look, my name's going on it too. I'll be the pig, and I need them to be committed. Look, we'll hold seminars. I love doing workshops. We do them off-site. We do them at Topgolfs, and we have fun and hit golf balls at lunch and hang out afterwards and hit golf balls. I'm a huge believer in having like the heavy hitters game where they get the autographed bats when they have big grosses. We have a build and burn program where it's a weekly contest based on your closing ratio. So if you got the best closing ratio of the week, you get a dumbbell. We got these cool little golden dumbbells say every customer counts. And we have a fire extinguisher. And because you're burning through ups. And every meeting, you'd have to bring the fire extinguisher with you if you had the worst closing ratio of the week. And if you had the best, you get the dumbbell. And whoever has the best closing ratio at the end of the month gets to keep the dumbbells, and they collect them. They're these little 2-pound golden dumbbells. But it's all about recognition. We're afraid that, well, yeah, but won't he get his feelings hurt if he's the worst? Well, my feelings hurt because he's the worst. It's get better. You don't want the fire extinguisher because you're burning through ups two weeks in a row. Right? But I think that's fun. I have volleyballs for learning how to close better and learning skills. It's how can we bring fun
sports?
And competition? Because that's my background.
Sports?
That's all I ever did, man. Grew up in a little town outside of St. Louis, played baseball, got recruited, played out in Arizona for 3 years, went 1 year in California, then went to Alaska to play summer baseball, and ended up staying in Anchorage for 11 years running. Started out washing cars, and then running a dealer group.
What happened to the baseball?
You know, you just get to a certain point and you realize you're not making the big leagues. I grew up in it, and
is that a hard?
I was around it.
Sport to get into.
Yeah, as a pitcher, you know, I knew I wasn't making the bigs, and back then you made $750 a month when you signed, and You drove around in a bus in the Pacific Northwest, and you only get paid during the season. You don't get paid during spring training. You get a per diem and a hotel room. And I didn't want to live with 3 other guys deciding if we wanted a 12-pack and 1 pizza or 2 pizzas and a 6-pack that night. It's a tough life.
So
I got plenty of buddies that made it, but it's a hard life.
So you said screw that, and you went to work in a car dealership.
Well, they got me a job when I went to Alaska. They get you a job in summer baseball. They got me a job washing cars at the Honda Acura store, and then you play baseball at night. And once I realized I got hurt again, and
so you were
I
a
wasn't
porter.
going anywhere. I was a pitcher. Yeah, I just watched
Porter
cars.
and a pitcher.
It's the wrong city to be a porter.
A lot guy.
Snow.
We call them lot guys.
Yeah, lot guys, porter,
But
detailers, whatever they want to call it.
well, yeah.
But I had a guy
That's the beginning
there.
for those of you that don't know. That's like literally
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say the lowest job because it's not a low job, but it's definitely the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to
But I had
a dealership.
I had a guy there that cared about, that he was a sports fan. We got along, and he took Dan Schumacher, took me under his wing, said, look, go sell shoes at Kinney's and learn how to sell. And that was back when Kinney's was kind of the thing. That was Woolworths owned them. And I remember I was their number one accessory salesperson because I sold more insoles. I wrote an article for their newsletter. And then he hired me back. Every morning we trained for 30 minutes, though. And I didn't know any different. I was coming out of my whole life on a baseball field, sports. So training's just what you do. I was a pitcher. We trained 98% of the time and played 2%. But
So how'd
then
you
I
go from
went back
how'd
to
you
the
go from a
dealership.
porter to a salesman?
Dan
He said,
tricked me, brought me in. I didn't plan. I always say you never plan to go to Denny's. You just end up there at 2 a.m. That's what happened. I never planned. I was going to be a big league baseball player. There was no doubt. But Dan actually showed me the potential and spent time with me and actually gave a crap, right? And helped me get better, and then just kind of worked up F&I and sales manager. And then I
in Alaska.
and I went to NADA Dealer Academy.
What town in Alaska?
Anchorage,
What's the population there?
like 300,000.
So you weren't at a high volume store.
Pretty good. We sold a couple hundred a month out of Subaru store.
Really?
We had a Honda Acura dual store. We had 6. The last place. I was at a few different places.
But the whole career was in Anchorage.
Yeah, Cal Worthington up there, baby.
So what
Him and
happens?
his dog Spot.
What happens when it's like snowed? Hurt?
Slowed down some, but it just is what it is. What happens when it's 120 degrees in Vegas? People still go out and you just live, right? You just learn to adapt and adjust.
Did you work for someone that made you call out of phone books, or were you just waiting for the customers to come in?
Classifieds.
But you'd call?
We had to.
You'd work?
We had to.
Because there's dealerships, they just wait for traffic.
Yeah, they stand around in a circle.
Sales managers don't know shit. They just sit there and bullshit with their sales guys and wait, and then they sell 200-300 cars, think they're doing great.
But it's not their fault because their managers prior to them didn't do anything,
Or know
It's
anything.
just been the culture. It's a culture of complacency.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's been created for, because you've said it. We all said bad habits are formed during good times and good habits are formed during bad times. Well, we went through 10 plus 11 years, 12 years of boom. We weren't selling cars. People were buying cars from us. Face it.
How much were you making
What's that?
as a salesman?
In Alaska? 60-ish plus or minus. It was a good market. And then I ended up working to the point where I went to NADA Dealer Academy, and then I was running. We had 6 franchises at the time.
Did they pay well up there?
Really well.
Because like here in Vegas, dude, a GM's doing 500, 750.
Yeah, I wasn't that high, but I was
Yeah, well,
good.
there's not that high out in some states. Like I always hear about it. It's like, dude, my whole business, car business, was Oregon, Seattle, Las Vegas. I didn't
Yeah.
sell in New York, nor would I want to. That's a weird market. Like, your dealership's a building,
Yeah.
and no lot, no nothing.
Yeah, depends where you're at, right? You get outside of the city.
Well,
It's
Manhattan,
more normal. Yeah, Manhattan's. I worked with a store downtown, big Honda store there. And yeah, it was odd. 40 cars on the lot, and they're still selling insane amount of cars. But it's process. Their process. See, you can't just cookie cutter stick what my process is in there, and it's all going to work because it has to be adapted. It's not one size fits all. But it was, it was fun up in Alaska. And after 11 years, man, I did my time. And I left and went to work for a training company. And that was a great 13 years, man. That's where we met a long time ago. I remember my old training company. We went to the St. Regis Hotel in Newport Beach, and we were going to create a new DVD series on closing and overcoming objections and negotiating. And we sat down, me and 2 other trainers and Joe, and we said, okay, let's begin with the end in mind. What's this end product even going to look like, and what's going to be the purpose of it? And just through conversation, somebody said, it'd be a lot easier if this was online and people could just log in. I'll always remember that. And that didn't exist then.
Oh, it did.
It
did.
It existed, but it wasn't public. Everybody didn't know about it.
That's right.
And we found a platform that sucked, but it was a platform. We chopped up 45-minute videos.
Oh, this is before Lightspeed.
And then our business
What was
development guy
out
found
there
yours.
though?
I forget the name of it, but it was crap. It was
because I like to say I was like the first. I didn't know of any.
Yeah.
Was there another one out there?
It was before you, and then we heard of you, and we wanted to get your technology to create our own.
Yeah.
And then
there's a good story that Joe tells. He says, "Oh yeah, because I couldn't close Joe, and I couldn't figure out why he wouldn't close. I showed him everything. I freaking gave him all the freaking inside advice, and then they just disappeared for like a year. And then when he finally came back, he said, "Oh, we were trying to build it ourselves."
Yeah. Yeah, I was on
So keep going. Then what happened?
But that started there at that St. Regis, man.
So you were on the team then too.
Yeah, 13 years.
Okay, so then
we chopped up all the videos and we put all the old one take. It's pretty freaking hard what was shot. 45-minute one take videos that he did. But then we realized that sucked. It was better than what was out there, but it didn't. As times evolved, people wanted new stuff. They realized their VHSs were just chopped up, and I remember coming here and shooting video, and we all were kind of going through the learning process at that time. What's the sweet spot on how long it should be? How much content should we go into? And realizing that, that kind of that 3 to 5, maybe 7 minutes, you start getting past that, we lose them. I remember you reminding us nonstop, it's not a video, it's a chapter, it's a course. But that's burned into my head now. But it's
true though.
It is. It's absolutely true, because you watch videos, you take courses, right? And it's learning. It's not just sitting on YouTube watching 1D.
How'd you find Joe?
It's taken that. I went through his training classes.
And then he said, "Hey, why don't you come to work for me?"
When I went to the NADA convention, after I graduated from Dealer Academy,
But usually when you graduate from Dealer Academy, you end up at GM.
But I was done with Alaska, and I wanted to get the hell out of there.
Oh.
And I remember going and listening to Joe speak, and I went and listened to Grant speak, and I looked at their programs, and Joe's worked for me, because it was the entire process from management all the way through, and went to the classes. And then we went through like 2 weeks of 30 below zero, and I said, I'm done. I'm out of here. My wife did too. And I just applied thinking, I hate public speaking. I hated it. Now, speaking to my salespeople was no big deal, because I could fire them if they didn't like it. But I hated public speaking, and I thought that'd be a hell of a challenge. And went there, and man, it was a boot camp. It was hard. It took, at that time, the class was so in depth and so scripted. It would take us 6 to 8 months to be able to do our entire class by ourselves. And their critique and the coaching would make most people, and it did, quit. You couldn't handle it, because you'd look at the coaching as failing. No, it's just, we strive for perfection, but we don't demand it. This is what perfection is. Move forward, right? We're going to keep progressing. We're going to keep getting better. Perfection's the enemy of progress so often, and that kept so many people. They wanted to be perfect before they got up and did it. But ultimately, it was perfection. If Kathleen, she's on my wall of gratitude. She was the general manager there. She's a special woman, and we knew she cared more about us getting better than we cared about us getting better. She was good, and she truly spent time with us and helped us. And man, it was tough sometimes. But
So
it was rewarding.
Yeah. So after 13 years of that, at some point you said, "Screw it, I'm going to do my own thing." What made you do that?
I had a bud. Actually, I said I'm done with training. It was Groundhog Day, and I saw the evolution of our business and the technology coming in, and all the things that needed to be changed, and how hard it was as a hotel trainer. Just going around doing workshops, but not actually being in dealerships.
Which doesn't work very well, does it?
Not today. It did then, before all the technology and changes. But now, if you're not in a store, you don't know the difference between vAuto and VIN Solutions. You don't know dealer track and dealer socket. You don't know any of that. And I actually went and ran my buddy's Ford store for a year, and that was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Because I was managing the inventory and the people, everything, right? And I had to get back in it. I had to get my mojo going.
It's fun though, right?
Oh yeah. Well, sometimes you're beating your head against the wall.
I love it.
It's a grind. Absolutely. But when you're there every single day and you're busting your ass and the speed of with training, it's not Christmas tree lights. Plug Christmas tree lights in, they all come on. That ain't that way with training. They don't all come on. Everybody doesn't get it. And it's that coaching, having that patience, right, with them and helping everybody. We're not all created equal as salespeople. We're not all created equal. And can I coach you? Can I coach you based on your strengths, right? How often do we try to make somebody, you get the old guy that hates digital and he'll never be good at digital, but we keep busting his balls trying to get him good at digital.
Mm-hmm.
Or the kid that doesn't like talking to fresh ups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, you get that young guy that doesn't like talking to fresh ups, but we try to get them comfortable with it. Why do we not try to work on people's strengths when we spend so much energy in demotivating guys and tearing them down, trying to make them good at something they'll never be good at? And that's that coaching. My son plays select baseball, and don't try to change every hitter and make them swing the same. No, everybody's got different body shapes and comfort zones. A great coach can coach you based on you and make you the best you can be. But it's that, how do kids spell love? T-I-M-E. How do our people know we care about them? T-I-M-E. What do we not do in a dealership? Spend time with our people, because we're so busy doing stuff.
All kinds of stuff. Has dealership started training people more now? I heard from, because I still have car dealer buddies. They say, number one, the old days are over. That's what they tell me. And there's no salesman left. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, dude, the car salesman of today is not the same. I'm like, I don't get it. What does that mean? They're not trained. I'm like, what do you mean?
Nobody was trained. The millennials.
Yeah, but dude, back in the day, there was there was some
competitiveness.
Yeah, there was like a camaraderie. It was like a fraternity almost.
Because the managers were not on their freaking computer and phones. We didn't have computers to get on. We were better managers 20 years ago because our heads weren't buried in vAuto.
Do you teach that now though?
Hell yeah. You don't manage in your office. You manage on the floor. Get the hell out of your office, get out there with your people and spend time with them. That's the missing link. Look, I hate this whole, we can't find good people. Millennials are lazy. They're not driven by money. They don't want to work hard. They're not competitive. That's bull crap. There's some badass Navy SEALs that are millennials. There's some badass athletes that are millennials. Look, you make them competitive. We're the ones. Our generation took the fucking trophies away and took the scoreboard down. Don't bitch about them not being competitive. Let's make them competitive.
There you go. I like that. So let me ask you this. If you could go back and do it all over, how come you're not running a car dealership? What made you want to start your own business?
Law of multiplication. And start helping multiple stores. And truly, the Ford store I was in, my wife hated Oklahoma at the time. And we were still living in Dallas, and I was commuting. So that was the number one reason why I left that store and went back. And I was looking around. for what's next. And I had a buddy call me up and say, hey, I see you're not there anymore. You want to come train our store while you're figuring out what you're going to do when you grow up? So I went there, and then another guy called me up and said, hey, what are you up to? Would you come train our store? And before you know it, I had half a dozen stores I was going into during every month, and I couldn't really justify getting out of it.
Now it's paying you too well. But if you were going to give your kids advice on whether to get a job or start a business, what advice would you give them?
Have a career. Sit down and figure out what's your long-term vision. What do you want in 10, 15 years? Maybe I'm weird. My mom tells me when I was a little kid, I used to ask for GE stock and gold for Christmas. I don't know if that's normal, but I don't think so. But it's.
Did you get it?
No, they
Bummer.
never got me to one of them.
Yeah, bummer.
A working class.
Yeah, but
union family.
Imagine back then if they would have just got you what you asked for, what that'd be worth today.
I think there's chiefs. I think there's Indians, and I think it depends on everybody. Everybody's not designed to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not designed to create their own business. Ideally, if you can create your own business, that's awesome. But if you don't, that doesn't mean you can't be successful, right? Success doesn't need to be defined by your wallet. Look, my brother is not an entrepreneur, but he had a very successful life. He raised 2 unbelievable daughters, and he did never have the desire to have his own business. He punched a clock, and he came in and he busted his ass and was the best at what he could do for that food company, and he was great at that, and he had a successful life. So I think we sometimes want to think that the only thing that defines success is your bank account. To some people, absolutely, and that's not a bad thing if that's what defines it. Or your business and how big you built it. That's great, but I think both of my kids are different, and I think as they're growing up, we'll figure it out.
Which one you like better?
Both. Yeah, I mean, it's weird how
that's funny.
2 kids can be so different.
I know, but every time I ask parents, which kid you like better, they always want to say, oh, I like them all the same. When in reality,
I like them different.
Well, not only that, but you always have a favorite. But the difference is the favorites change.
Yeah.
Right? Because like last week, my favorite's this one. Well, why? Well, because they were doing this, or they were starting to be funnier, and then the next week, this one's being the sweetest, that one's being a brat. So I switch. So when people say which one's my favorite, I always tell them one name.
Depends.
Because it's which kid's doing the best, or what's making me the happiest that week.
Look, here's the bottom line. I got a 10 and 11-year-old. I only got a couple more years of being their parent, and then I'm just their advisor.
That's right.
I mean, that's the reality. And, me and my son, I kick his ass playing Fortnite, and he's the second best Fortnite player in our house. And me and my daughter, it's a whole different relationship.
I've never got into Fortnite. Is it good?
Don't do it.
So when you left Joe's, like you went out there, you weren't planning on starting a business, and then people started saying, hey, come train my business.
Yes.
So what did you develop since then? Like, what did you realize and develop?
Well, really what I realized when I went and ran a store, and I realized, holy crap, I've been teaching this, and this, and that's got to change. Because
what are those things that need to change?
Well, as simple as the trade being moved up front, right? The appraisal getting done while they're on a demo, so when that customer comes back, that, the old saying was speed kills on the lot, bullcrap. Slow kills on the lot and slow kills in the office, right? I understood the velocity of that deal was insane. And in how involved managers really had to be in a deal early and often, and not just throwing salespeople out there, because salespeople will do the best they can, but man, they get their teeth kicked in, and they're as good as they're going to get on their own. And if that manager's not out there, if that coach isn't out there with them, we're setting them up for failure. You can develop winners and you can develop losers. Are you putting your guys in positions to lose, or are you putting them in positions to win? And I realize how often we take for granted the skill level of our guys because we talked about a skill once. Dude, we talked about the maintenance clothes the other day. Why didn't you use it on this guy? Because we talked about it. We never practiced it. It's not instinct, and if you think you stink, it's got to be your instinct. that's the bottom line, man. When you're negotiating, it's air. You got you and them, and there's no shiny object.
Think long, think wrong.
It's too late, man.
If you think you stink, I've never heard that one.
It's got to be your instinct. It does. Just got to pop out.
It needs to be second nature.
Yeah, if you're thinking about it, it's too late, man. It's anything. Doesn't matter what we're doing.
Folks, if you're running a car dealership or you work at a car dealership, you obviously can tell just by listening that he knows what the hell's going on at a car dealership. But I'm here to tell you that you probably should think about taking the word up and car and appraisal out, because I'm telling you, dude, your content applies to more than just a car dealership. You can take those same principles and apply it to a furniture store, a plumbing supply company, anybody with a training organization. I'll bet you $50 you go in there and apply what you teach, they're going to freaking get the results at that organization too.
Absolutely.
But right now you're in a market, even though it's a lucrative market, and you can stay there your whole life. Problem is my mission is to get the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. You have it. Problem is you're just sitting there in the car business, man. Dude, there's realtors listening to this that could take what you teach and freaking benefit. They read your book. Your book's not necessarily about the car business. So if I was you guys, I'd all go get his book, Frictionless Closing and Negotiating with Purpose. But if you're in the car business specifically, I'd be reaching out to Kintz Group to see if he can help you, or, the other guy. Either one, I don't really care. As long as you get one of them.
That's right.
But all kidding aside, I appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate you having me.
And you know your shit, that's for sure. And if you guys aren't following him, go to the Tim Kintz, Kintz, and frickin' get more, because I see you posting some nice shit. Nice shit, dude. Good tips.
Yes.
It's almost like I'm following myself.
No kidding. It's like we have the best company helping us out with that.
That's right. Folks, until next time, share this out. If it doesn't work for you, it might work for someone else. And as always, keep it real.